Here's why I stopped smoking weed in my 20s. A little backstory. I started smoking marijuana when I was about 14 years old, when I was just about to go to high school that summer, and I really started being more consistent freshman year of high school. Ever since then, I've been pretty much consistent with it up until I was about 26, 27. I took little breaks here and there, but I went from basically being curious and just trying to seem cooler. Now that I'm being honest with myself, I just wanted to seem cooler because I didn't really have an identity for myself. So I took on the pothead, chill guy type of identity at around that time in high school. And I would say that I guess it had benefits to a certain point, just as far as my fitting into a certain group when I didn't really know myself. Since then, over the years, it transitioned into really, honestly, an addiction. It was at a point very hard to stop. And after a while, when nicotine was introduced, not nicotine, tobacco was introduced with it, you start mixing it together. Now it became even more of an addictive substance. After a while, you get very dependent on this. You don't want to do anything before you smoke. I know a lot of people can relate to that. A lot of people are like that. You don't want to eat before you smoke. You got to eat. You want to smoke first. You want to go outside. You want to smoke first. Listen to music. Everything you do, you want to smoke first. And you have to be real with yourself and understand that when it gets to that point, you're honestly dependent on it. And you don't want to be dependent on anything outside of yourself to do anything. When I finally brought myself to stop, I noticed a lot of benefits to it. First and foremost, the first thing I noticed is I started saving money a lot faster. You don't realize how much money it accumulates when you're constantly spending money on marijuana and marijuana-like things, such as lighters, the roll-up, all that stuff goes together. It really adds up, different accessories. First thing is you save a lot of money. The second thing is you're gonna have more of a clear mind and less anxiety. I know a lot of people who believe that, you smoke weed to cure anxiety. I believe everything is a case-by-case basis, but overall, it does not, because when you're smoking to calm your anxiety, but that's not an actual solution. That's like a patch. You temporarily feel good because you're just avoiding pain. It's pain avoidance. You're not actually going out and doing the hard work and solving whatever it is that's causing your anxiety. Because most times, there is no diagnosis of anxiety for no reason. If you have anxiety, it's coming from somewhere. It's something that you need to be doing, something you're not comfortable with in your life that's causing the anxiety. There's a reason for your anxiety. And you smoking weed to avoid fixing that actual issue is just prolonging a bigger problem. And that's going to build up into something that's greater. Because that's exactly what happened to me. I started actually getting panic attacks and anxiety attacks when I smoked, because when I smoked, let's be honest, you smoke and it causes you sometimes to lose control of your mind. You lose control of what thoughts you have sometimes. That's what's happening to me. And I started drifting when I smoked. I started drifting into the thoughts that I did not want to have. The thoughts of the things that I was avoiding. All of my issues, all of my problems, all the things that I wanted to fix about my life came to the surface, and it caused me to freak out. And this is after years of smoking. It was not always like that, but the years of avoiding the real work built up to the point where now, whenever I smoke, everything is right in the front of my mind, and it caused a very bad reaction. And that was actually the last step and the last straw that actually caused me to stop. Smoking weed causes you to be docile. You become okay with your issues, and you're not truly okay with it, but it's just that pain, it kind of numbs down your pain receptors. So you can't feel that pain, but that pain is there. It's like a painkiller. Painkillers don't actually go to the source of the problem. You need to actually cure it. And you cure it by actually doing the hard work. That pain, you need to feel that pain. You need to stop coping and feel that pain, because when you feel the pain, and you not doing anything to suppress it and cause you to be docile, you're going to now do the hard work and go and fix that problem. And it may take a while. That's a delayed gratification. Most times it's not going to be instant. It may take months, years, weeks of dedication, of feeling that pain for a very long time. But if you think about the span of a person's life, going a couple years or a couple months of putting in some serious work to set your entire life up for greatness is definitely worth it. When you think about it on a long scale, it's definitely worth it. And a lot of young people don't see this right away, because if you think about the lifespan of a young person, when they're young, you're in your 20s, you didn't live for that long. So you can't even fathom how long life really is. You only live for about 20 something years. You don't realize that you have like roughly 50, 60 years of life left. You didn't even get to halfway of your life. So you thinking now, if you just lock in for a couple of years, 5 years, 3 years to a young person is like forever. But for an older person, they realize like, wow, okay, yeah, I've been alive for a very long time. Like that, it's nothing for them to invest that type of time, because you realize that life is the longest thing you're gonna do. But the best thing is the ones that are elite, who realize this at a younger age, that, hey, life is long. I'm in my 20s, but if I sacrifice right now for a couple of years, I know I haven't been alive for that long, but if I sacrifice a couple of years, I can set my entire life up. And I wish I realized that earlier. I stopped smoking in my 20s. I'm 30 years old, right? I just turned 30. I stopped smoking when I was about 26. But if I had stopped earlier, I could have been in a way better position. So whoever's listening to this, if you're in your 20s, really, really consider cutting out smoking weed. Especially if you are dependent on it. And you know if you're dependent. Do not lie to yourself. I was lying to myself for years. It's not the case. You start smoking weed, you become super more aggressive in your actions. I believe that, especially weed nowadays, they're putting estrogen and different chemicals in this weed. It's being sprayed. The weed nowadays is not like before. It's being sprayed with a bunch of chemicals. It's changing the chemical buildup of your body. You're getting more feminine, more docile, more soft. More soft. When you stop smoking weed, you're gonna notice an immediate more aggression in your thoughts, your actions. You'll be able to control your emotions more for a longer period of time. Weed controls it makes you super emotional, especially if you depend on weed to regulate your emotions. Once you go a little bit, you stop for like a day or two, you notice yourself being more irritable. You're like, damn, I need a blunt because I'm angry right now. Something gets you angry and you want to use now an external substance to regulate your emotions. You're a grown man. You shouldn't need that. You should not need that. You need to be able to self-regulate your emotions, your actions. You can't depend on external substance. Now, another huge benefit, last but not least, is the health benefits. You're smoking weed. Off rip, smoking is not good at any point. You're putting smoke into your lungs, which is designed for only oxygen. It's gonna, over time, you may not notice it right away, over time, and not everybody experiences this, but yeah, over time, you're damaging your lungs. You're building up a lot of phlegm and mucus in your lungs. You could develop bronchitis, multiple things that can happen. Craziest thing is obviously like throat or lung cancer. There's other issues that's gonna come about even before that. You will immediately notice, not immediately maybe, but over time, you can notice how much easier you breathe, clearer breathing. Your overall respiratory system will become way better, get into a lot better shape. If you are somebody who wants to gain weight, once you say you're interested in fitness now, people who smoke marijuana, you'll notice that sometimes no matter how much you eat, it may be difficult for you to gain weight. It's not everybody. Everybody's body is different, but on average, you're gonna gain weight faster if you smoke less weed or no weed at all. I don't know why it's like that, but that's just how it is. Especially, I noticed that about myself. I started making more more consistent gains because I stopped smoking weed. It's possibly because you need to gain weight. You need to eat a lot of proteins, a lot of conscious eating, a lot of decision-based eating. When you smoke, you only eat a lot when you smoke. How much can you really smoke for the day? You need to eat a lot and eat specific things. You're smoking weed, you're gonna get hungry, you're gonna be less patient and less decisive about what you eat. You're gonna go and eat anything because you're starving. You have the munchies. So you're gonna be in a lot more control over everything when you stop smoking weed. Your entire existence will change. And a lot of people deny this for a very long time, including myself. And I'm telling you, you're lying to yourself. It is no good for you. The same thing with excessive alcoholism. Now, I haven't completely cut out alcohol in my life. Here and there, very socially, have a wine or something here and there. And honestly, I shouldn't even be doing that either. But I'm not at the point where I'm dependent. I don't sit and think, yeah, I need to go drink and do that. If it happens, it happens. I don't really care. If I never drink again, it wouldn't change my life. So doing these substances are bad in general, but it are especially bad when it is a dependency. So really consider that, increase your willpower, and you'll see the difference. And it becomes a lot easier to restrain from it when you see the results, when you see the benefits. And you may have to wait a little bit to see it. So just delay that gratification and give it some time and see how you feel. Guarantee you won't regret it. So till next time, peace out.